Dee, guess what I saw the other day at the store?
Seeds.
Well, I did see seeds, but on one of the end caps, I saw squishmallows for sale.
We're all about the squishmallows. We've been talking, people don't know, but we have been in deep conversation about squishmallows for weeks because it was who did you buy them for? Your
I bought it
niece?
for my great niece. Yes.
Yes.
I,
And then my granddaughter is going to
yeah.
get both of the squishmallow things we talked about. But anyway, so you saw squishmallows.
And I think it's one of those things that once you see them and know what they
Uh-huh.
are, suddenly they are everywhere for sale.
Yeah, and they have whole like squishmallow, like some of them are potatoes. You saw a potato, right?
I saw a potato. Yes.
One of my favorites is the ear of corn.
Yes.
I and the rose. I want the rose for myself.
Exactly. But anyway, that is enough squishmallow talk. I told somebody, I said this, and I think I said this on the podcast earlier. This is like the beanie babies of this generation.
Yes, Cabbage Patch Dolls, Beanie Babies, Squishmallows, but they are adorable. And I bought one for myself a long time ago, but my granddaughter took it. It was a Minnie Mouse, and it was adorable. So people, go look up Squishmallows. We'll leave a link because, gosh, those are affiliate links. And if you decide to buy one for your brand or daughter or whatever, you can give us a little help.
There you go. Now get this episode started before we become like the toy episode.
Welcome to the Garden Angelist, where we talk about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I am Dee Nash from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I garden an acre and a half, soon to be smaller, out of 7.5 acres out in the country.
And I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana. I have a suburban garden measured in square feet. It's about a third of an acre.
We call ourselves Garden Angelists because we are evangelists for gardening. We love gardening and we want you to love it too.
Yes, we do. And we aren't afraid to spill the beans and tell all of our gardening secrets, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. But that's enough of who, what, when, where. Let's move on to this week's episode, Dee. Hello.
Hello, Carol. How does well, I guess indoor garden grow?
Yes, we had quite the cold week. It was not until yesterday. So this is Saturday morning, a rare Saturday morning recording.
Yes.
But it was very cold, very sunny all week, and that's what makes it cold. There's nothing to stop any heat that gets absorbed during the day. Whoosh, right up into the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cold here starting today
Yep.
and all through next week. And it's going to be cold where you are too, because the whole country, except for southern Texas, southern Louisiana, get the picture, southern
Exactly.
California, those places, Florida, parts of it. Everywhere else is cold, cold, cold,
Cold.
cold.
Cold. So I went to garden club, as one
Uh-huh.
does.
And I texted you throughout Garden Club, and finally, you were like, D, I'm at Garden Club. And I'm like,
It didn't
sorry.
matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I went to Menards, which you don't have, which is the greatest place ever to buy
I
some.
know. I get to hear that every time. Uh-huh.
Well, I went to buy some
Yeah.
lithium batteries for this outdoor thermometer that's connected to my thermostat.
Yeah, your
And
fancy one.
this orange message pops up that says replace the batteries outside. I'm like, I wonder if that affects how the system works. And then it said I could ignore the message for X number of days. So I'm thinking, well, it must not really change how things work because things were working fine. But anyway, that's what took me to Menards.
Uh-huh. And so how was Menards?
All of the seats were on sale.
For 11 cents.
No, 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 no.
Oh, no.
So they had the 59-cent packets were 10 cents.
Gotcha.
So I just bought anything I wanted there. And then all of the burpee seeds, which is the other brand they carry, all of those were on sale. And when I left with my receipt, I realized that none of them was more than like $2. And some of these packets were labeled $4.19. And they charged me $1.96. So
Oops.
even though I have not sorted seeds, I bought some. And when I saw
Yeah.
what the prices really were, I thought, I got to go back. I was not really, I need to go back and get more seeds. But anyway,
Sure you do. Okay.
sure I do. Sure I do.
I
And
mean, I bought seeds too. I can't say anything. I totally bought seeds.
my amaryllis that we got from Katie, that has nice big flower buds on it. So that should be blooming here pretty soon. My Lily of the Valley pips are little pipsqueaks sitting there doing nothing. So I need to think about that. But anyway, I know you had good weather, and I could tell from Instagram you were making hay while the sun shines.
I was, and people were very worried about. Well, let me explain first. So I've been busy, and it's going to be freezing now and much of the week. And so to start off, Brennan filled the propane gas tanks for the greenhouse, which don't ask me what size we have. They're big and tall. And so we ran out. And so he went and filled those. God bless him. And I appreciate him. So that helped a lot. But then the greenhouse got too hot and my vents aren't opening. So we've got to replace the batteries too. But that doesn't matter right now because it's cold. So today I noticed that my greenhouse was only 40 degrees. So I ran out there and turned up the heat just a little bit. And then let's see. So I've also been watering my houseplants and the stuff in the greenhouse regularly because when you add that heat, it dries everything out faster.
Sure
And
does.
then I'm keeping all my little seedlings moist, which makes me happy. And I started repotting coleus and I repotted 2 houseplants and I bought 2 moss poles off of Amazon
Uh huh.
to do for my philodendrons, the ones that aren't really trailing that need to be propped up because
Right.
they don't like to just grow. And then I'll talk about that next thing in my favorites. All right. And then I met with Luz. Did I meet with Luz the week before
You,
or was I
you
going to?
you were either going to or you had talked to him. I can't remember.
Well, either way, we're getting ready to reduce the size of the garden. I can hear people crying through my earbuds. It's going to be okay, people. It really is. I've done several videos on Instagram about it. I'm doing the newsletter this week. I'll link to a couple of them. There'll be more as we do it. Lou's hurt his wrist, so it's on the back burner for the moment. And he's got to finish my son's privacy fence first. And then he promises that he's got one more person and he'll come and work on mine. So in the process of that, I've been thinking about stuff I want to save,
Right.
like my switchgrass, which I'll have a video up probably tomorrow about that, but maybe a little later. Michelle came over and that's how I was able to record some videos. And I've just been out there. People have also been worried that I've been out there cutting everything back and disturbing all the creatures of the world. I have not. What I've been doing is sawing down half dead crepe myrtles that I'm sick of. And that's okay. It's okay to change your garden.
It's also okay to do what we call the chop and drop, where you just cut things back and just leave the clippings there. It is fine, people. It is fine.
It's not going to make, well, okay, so I'm not going to get into that controversy because people really hate it when I cut back. So what I have been doing, I did cut back one really tough rose that's on its own roots because I knew
Uh-huh.
it'd be okay for the cold. Everything else, I was just like tearing out big tons of aster, that one aster that's got rhizotomous stems. My hope is that I'll have more time to mess with that stuff because I won't be trying to keep up with so much. We're reducing the garden by a good third. So
Yeah.
that's a
So now
lot.
that is so you'll end up with about an acre.
Probably. So, and the acre includes the meadow, which I don't do that much with. But honestly, and I'm just being honest, we may mow that meadow this year. And the reason I say that, I know that's going to make people really cry. Bill's not well, and I need Bill's help to set certain things up to make the meadow work. And I may need to take a year off from the meadow.
That would be okay.
That would be okay. It would be okay. I'm still thinking about that.
I know you run hoses up there and you run sprinklers up there periodically, but
Yeah,
I do remember that you live in the prairie, and so if you're a prairie meadow, if you take a year off, I
it
think
won't
it will
hurt
be
it.
fine. It won't hurt it a bit. The only thing you'll have to think about is in the fall and winter, if you have not watered it, you may have a lot of more dry plant material. So that's just something to think about for fall and winter. But come on, people, give D a break.
So I will for sure reduce the garden by 6 beds, 6 big beds. So that's huge. And also I'm changing up the shade gardens. We worked on those a little bit while it's cool outside,
Yes.
and also to get some of the leaf litter off the top, because leaf litter and ticks, they go together.
Right.
And so does shade. And it's not because ticks drop out of trees, it's because they can't regulate their body heat, and they love cool areas. So that's why you find them in the shade. So I'm fixing the shade gardens where I'll just not have to touch them, but maybe twice a year. That's my
That's
plan.
good. That's good.
So there you go. I have been busy, 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 busy.
You have. I've been kind of, I seem like a lazy sluggard compared to you, but let's play favorites.
You play favorites. You go first.
So I have two because you had two. So I switched mine up to have two.
We both
So
have two favorites.
out in the garage, those pelargoniums that I threw out there, they had a couple of nice looking little flowers, not huge, but little florets. So I thought
Yeah.
I'm going to clip those and bring those inside. One of them is like orange and one of them is pinkish orange. And so that's my first favorite. And then the second favorite is we had above freezing temperatures yesterday for most of the day in the sun. A lot of the snow melted. Those Christmas roses just popped right up,
Oh, I
and
bet.
they have some nice buds on them. I think I'm still going to get a few blooms. And all that reminded me that a while back we got a fan mail message
Uh-huh.
or an email or something. I can't even keep track anymore. But a person had bought one of those hellebores as a blooming plant around Christmas time.
Yeah.
What should she do? And she said it was growing in a metal container. And I'm like, I guarantee you that
There's
if
no
you,
drainage.
well, I guarantee you that it's probably in a plastic insert inside that metal container.
Right.
So look for that and then pull that out and make sure that it does have drainage. They like it a bit on the dry side. I would keep it separate from other houseplants and kind of isolate it. Even if you have a cool garage, I think you could put it out there
I do
until
too.
until things got better and you could plant it outside, because my past experience is spider mites, even mealy bugs, those things are not without their pests. So you do have to watch that. So that's what I
Yeah.
would do. If
So
if by chance it was growing in all in a metal container with no drainage, I would immediately repot it into some cheap plastic pot with drainage and then do the same thing. Just keep it on the cool side.
good potting soil, good quality potting soil. Yeah, just keep it on the dry side. And also, if you're going to plant it outside, the idea about the garage is a great one because it needs to acclimate.
It does.
And so people don't realize that their stuff needs to acclimate. And that's how you lose seedlings in the spring. That's how you lose stuff that you pot out in the fall and winter. And one of the things people were worried about with me uncovering some things is this cold we're having, is it going to kill it all? I'm like, no, my stuff is so tough. No, no, no. And I have some Christmas roses too that I need to go look at. I haven't looked at them. They're in my front bed. I've been busy in the back beds.
There
It's
you
time to
go.
work in the front. My favorites this week. One is to my right behind me, which you cannot see. So I'm going to move it slightly. Now you can. It's my philodendron gloriosum. And
Very
I
nice.
bought this when I spoke Taggart's. I was at the statewide Master Gardeners Conference for
Yes.
Oklahoma, and I spoke. And as I walked in, my little eye spied Taggart's greenhouse had a booth. And I was like, oh, yes, I'm going there immediately after. And I bought this philodendron and I bought a bunch of other stuff that I knew was weird and cool. And I'm in love with that plant. Now I came home and I put it in a beautiful Wakefield pot that is terracotta, but
Uh-huh.
it did not like it because it needs to be wetter than that.
Ooh.
It needs a moister soil and it was drying out too much. So I found isn't that the most beautiful pot? I found it at Walmart. I ran up there and I put it in one size bigger pot, and it's a Better Homes and Gardens pot that's blue and gray. It's absolutely beautiful. I paid, I don't know, $9.73 or something. And it's sitting in there behind my turquoise typewriter. So that's
Very
my
nice.
favorite. And then my other favorite are my little seedlings. There is nothing better to cheer the to cheer the soul on a winter's day than some little seedlings, under lights or in a greenhouse or
Yes.
winter sown. It just, something about those little brave creatures coming up out of the soil, piercing it. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. So we have 2 questions this week that I pulled from fan mail.
And the fan mail, bear in mind, we don't get to see who you are. So
Yes. All we do.
right.
So if you want to reply, you have to put your email inside the fan mail. But anyway, so the first fan mail was, "Hi, I collected some snow, rare event here in MS, which I'm assuming is Mississippi,
It
to water
is.
my indoor houseplants after it melts. Important to wait for it to melt. Does the nitrogen in snow dissipate with time? Love your podcast."
You know, when you read that question to me or sent it to me, I sat there and thought, I don't know.
Here's what I found. I found an article on Better Homes and Gardens that has the benefits of watering with melted snow water. And it claims that it contains nitric oxide, which is good for root growth, for seed starting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's, as long as it's water and it hasn't like dissolved, I mean, not dissolved, but evaporated, it's still got the benefits of it. So
I would think so.
now I never think, oh, I should gather a bunch of snow to water my plants. So, but snow is
I did
more.
not gather the snow. I just enjoyed looking at it. And then I went and got another log to put on the fire.
But I'm wondering how much snow would one get in Mississippi to be able to gather it? Would you be, I mean, I think of them
they
getting a dusting.
No, they got a lot of snow this last
Good
time.
for them.
Because the way that tracked through Texas, just the tip of it was in Oklahoma and then a big snowfall down south. So it was very unusual for them and they were thrilled. All right, we have another one from
Wait a minute. Before we leave that topic, I always remember in To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee.
Yep.
One of those old women sitting on the porch, she's going, that when it snows, it's because the children have been bad.
Oh, really? I forgot all about that. Well, I don't think the children were bad.
Now, I'll have to look at the reference. I'll have to look because maybe I made it all up, but I'm pretty sure that's in To Kill a Mockingbird. Children have been
so
bad.
Weird that it is, probably. Okay, from Memphis, Tennessee. Did winter sowing Verbena Bampton work? This is Verbena bonariensis Bampton. And Carol winter sowed it last year, and we will ask her, did it work?
It worked great. I had a ton of seedlings and I had a big pot of it. And actually, you say bonariensis, I think it's a hybrid of some kind. But
it is probably, yeah.
Which means the seed we collected is probably not going to come true. But anyway, I digress.
You know what? It came back true in my pots.
Okay. Well, good because I collected a bunch of seed. Maybe it is not a hybrid.
I have no idea. Mine sprouted in my pots all by itself, and I repotted it everywhere, and it did just fine. I mean, it came up a little later because it was trying to come up naturally. But yes, that's a good, easy way to do it. I tried doing it in the greenhouse and under lights, and it said, no, thank you.
No, thank you. We would prefer winter sown containers, or we'll just be over here in the natural in the pot.
So I'm going to see if it does it again naturally in the pot. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, who cares? All right. It's time for you to do a quote.
It is indeed. It was so wonderful to be there, safe at home, sheltered from the winds and the cold. Laura thought that this must be a little like heaven where the weary are at rest. And that is Laura Ingalls Wilder in The Long Winter.
Which is the hardest book to read of that entire series. That was the winter that they almost starved to death because they ran out of their stores.
Well, and I will confess, I actually read those books when I was in like 4th, 5th grade. I don't remember.
Yeah, I do because of my kids. And Megan was a big fan, such a big fan that we went to visit Laura Ingalls Wilder's little house on the prairie. So not the prairie. We went to visit the one in the Ozarks.
The only thing I remember from the books is that there was a warm day, and so they all tripped up to the schoolhouse without their coats and boots. And then within hours, a huge blizzard came, and they were trapped without any warm clothing.
Coats and boots. And didn't they stay in there? And the teacher did the potbelly stove. And
I don't know.
I sort of remember this. Yeah.
I have always been suspicious of warm winter days ever since reading that.
Yeah, especially if you're in South Dakota. Wasn't it set?
You know what?
South Dakota. I think it was. You talk about the flower. I'll look it up and then we'll know.
I'll add those back to my Carol read these as a child and wants to read them again. Okay,
Ha!
our flower.
Southeastern Dakota Territory.
Very good.
Okay.
The flower. The National Garden Bureau in their year of flowers. So the perennial they have chosen is
Asclepias.
Asclepias.
Asclepias, however you say it.
Milkweed.
Yes, milkweed. And one of the ones you mentioned, I'll talk about when we get there. I know a lot about this plant because I'm a
You
big
do. You do.
monarch aficionado.
So we could make a whole episode on milkweed. And in fact, we have talked about milkweed many
Many
times.
times.
So let me just
So-
give you some fast facts from National Garden Bureau.
Sounds good.
So Asclepias is a genus of herbaceous perennial flowering plants known as milkweeds, and it's in the dogbane family, Apocynaceae. I don't know what else is in that family, but that's interesting. I guess dogbane.
I don't know. Dogbane. And dogbane's poisonous too, isn't it?
Yes. They're named for their latex. Milkweeds exude a sticky and milky substance where cells are damaged. Found throughout North and South America, over 100 species in the U.S. Many are cultivated as ornamentals, as we know.
Huh. So I looked up the dogbane family, and quickly it says it's a group of family of flowering plants that includes trees, shrubs, herbs, stem succulents, and vines. And so Hoya is in there, which we grow as a house plant. Oleander, another poisonous thing. Periwinkles. So
Cool.
there's a lot of things in the dogbane family. But
Yes.
back to Asclepias.
Milkweed. We'll just call it milkweed.
Asclepias.
So
Okay.
both animals and humans use the milkweed for many purposes. Of course, everybody knows about the monarch butterflies. That is their food source for their larvae. That's where they lay their eggs. And without the milkweed, we would have no monarch butterfly. And then it said the Native Americans used stem fibers to make string, rope, and cloth. And some tribes use common milkweed for medicinal purposes, such as using the milky sap to treat warts, ringworm, and bee sting. So not ingesting it, but making something to put on their skin. And then the one thing that I will add is that I believe that it was in World War II that children gathered the milkweed pods to get the fluffy out to make into linings for coats and things.
Well, they also used them for parachutes, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, keep going.
Well, and then the other thing is, as they pointed out, there are many different species to choose from and a variety of benefits that you can add to your garden. And so we're just going to talk about 2 today.
Well, maybe. Okay, keep going.
Well, if you go off script, we're going to talk about a lot of them. But the first one is swamp milkweed, which I think you have grown swamp milkweed.
Yeah, so swamp milkweed is native to Oklahoma. So is green milkweed, antelope milkweed, common milkweed. There's another one. Here's the thing about swamp milkweed. Like its name, it wants it wet. And Oklahoma has some wet, kind of marshy places. I have not had the best luck with this type of milkweed, which is incarnata.
I had swamp milkweed, but I think that it disappeared from my garden. I haven't seen it for a few years.
It's very, it's very intermittent. Let's put it that way. It'll last a little bit and then it goes away. So there are 3, or there are 3. Yeah. There are 3 that you found here that are I guess they're selections. And Cinderella is one. Ice Ballet has white flowers, and Soulmate. I've grown Ice Ballet and I've grown Soulmate and I've grown the species. So I just think it's a little hard to grow and keep going. Can we talk about common real quick though?
Yes, we can, Dee. We can deviate from script anytime we want because this is our podcast.
So common milkweed is extremely easy to grow here. It loves here, and I have huge stands of it. And that's what you need to know about common, is that common milkweed makes great big huge stands. So you just need to know that wherever you put it, it's going to be there. And it sends up runners, but it is not badly behaved. And a lot of people won't grow it because it makes these big clumps. But you know what those big clumps do? they bring the butterflies down
Yep.
because the butterflies can see it, because the butterflies are visual. And it's not just the monarch, it's also the queen, and the viceroy eats it too. So, which both of those butterflies are mimics of the monarch. And there's just, I think it's a great one to grow. Now, oh, and it smells like bubble gum and it has pink flowers, just like the straight species of incarnata. It's just a little different, bigger, bolder flowers.
So then there's Asclepias tuberosa, which is butterfly milkweed,
It's orange,
orange or gold. And as they
most
point out,
often orange.
good for sunny borders.
Yeah.
And putting it on the border, on the edge, makes it visible to the butterflies.
So here's the deal about tuberosa as a practical matter. I have it, but monarchs don't love it. It's not their favorite food source, and they will bypass it. They will, my experience is they will only eat it if I make them. Like if I have a whole bunch of caterpillars and they're decimating another milkweed,
Right.
and I come in and make them eat it. It's very pretty though, and it's a good plant. It's a good nectar plant. Everybody likes it. Now you can talk about the cultivars.
So they listed several: Hello Yellow, which is obviously yellow; Western Gold
Yeah.
Mix, which is a Western Colorado native with orange flowers; Gay Butterflies, which provides a mix of orange, red, and yellow. And I'm going to go after Prairie Gold with golden yellow flowers. It said the cultivar originated from a wild population in Indiana. So I want that one.
Okay. I'm not going to grow any more of it. I had another thought too. So if you're really into butterflies, another great plant, but you got to be careful where you put it, is honeyvine. Honeyvine is one that will cover your entire shed if you're not careful, but it is a lifesaver for caterpillars.
Yes.
And I'll look up its name while you talk about tropical.
So the people always ask about tropical milkweeds. They got kind of a bad reputation.
Yeah, they do.
And so this is Asclepias curasavacia, and it's a host for a protozoan parasite that reduces the body mass, lifespan, mating success, and flight ability of monarchs. So right
Yeah.
there would tell you don't plant tropical
OE.
milkweed.
OE is what it, I mean, you can read the whole thing, but it's really hard to say. So people just call it OE. And it becomes a bigger and bigger problem as the season goes on.
Yes.
And you'll find deformed caterpillars and it's disgusting. So it was in my garden. I've dug it out. I don't want it in my garden anymore. And by the way, honeyvine is not an Asclepias. So we don't need to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
It is a
Well,
milkweed though, oddly.
that's fine. We'll put a link to it just so people, now that you piqued their curiosity, we'll put
It's
a
a
link to
native
it.
plant and you'll find it in your garden growing anyway. And so what I do is I just let it grow someplace where I don't care if it kind of takes over. And the caterpillars love it and the butterflies love it. So there
And
you go.
you've written extensively about monarchs and everything. So we're going to link to your blog post, especially about the research on how to best plant monarch or plant milkweeds so it benefits the monarchs. You know, that whole make it visible for their flight
So they
pattern.
can see it. Yeah.
Yes. All
One
that
of the
kind of
biggest
stuff.
things is you can't just have two plants. You have to have a lot of plants to get their attention. And just planting one plant is not going to help you. So, or help them for that matter. And also, don't buy, you really need to buy your milkweed from a reputable source. Here locally, I love Leah's Commonwealth. She's a lady who starts her own seed. And milkweed seed is for, for native milkweeds. It's a little complicated because it has to have cold stratification, cold weather. And so you can do it. It's not impossible. Lots of people do, but buy from a good source. And there's several good sources out there. I would not buy it from my local nursery because just regular nurseries who won't, they sometimes spray it with stuff. And I actually had that happen once, long time ago.
Yeah, that gets into the whole thing about the neonicotinoids, nicotine, whatever
Yeah,
that is.
nicotinoids. And then
Yes.
also neem oil. This was sprayed with neem and it killed some early caterpillars I had and I was very upset. So yes, we'll link to that. And that actually is a lot of research. But then someone I know who's a butterfly person, she said that she read something different. Here's the thing about science, people. It's always changing.
Yes.
That's why it's science. It's not set in stone. That's true of
Yes.
ticks. That's true of all of it.
And
Okay.
let's link to Carol Pasternak's book about monarchs. We heard her speak at the National Garden Bureau's
She
Authors
was
Talk
fun.
Gardening. We'll
Yeah.
link to that, and she will say the exact same thing. She did all her research. She consulted all the experts, and there at the very end, the two experts disagreed. And so, yes, we should link to her
She kind
book.
of went with her gut, and then
Yeah.
she said they
Yes.
disagreed. And there's a lot of that. I see it with alpha gal syndrome too. All right, let's move on to the quote. Sunshine is delicious. Rain is refreshing. Wind braces us up. Snow is exhilarating. There is really no such thing as bad weather, only different kinds of good weather. And that's by John Burroughs.
Well,
I
I like
agree.
to say is there's no bad weather, just poor clothing choices.
Yes. Now, I will say it's a little hard sometimes because, like yesterday, it was supposed to be 58. It took all day to get there, and I about froze my tail feathers off. So I changed into a sweater. And I have on a sweater today, an ice blue sweater.
I have on a sweatshirt and I also have my long johns on under my jeans because
It's
this
cold.
it's cold. And once you start dressing warmly like that every day, and then it's like I don't like to feel the cold jeans against my legs. So,
I get it. All right. So this week's vegetable is the year of the pea, according to National Garden Bureau. And we both like peas and we talk about them every year. And this
yep,
is a good excuse to talk about them again.
yep. There's snow peas, snap peas, and shelling peas.
Yep. And they're good for you. They
They are
have a
very
lot of
good for you.
vitamin C, and they also have nitrogen enriching qualities when grown in the soil.
That
So
is true,
peas and beans, which are both legumes, are
right?
really good for making your soil better. So if you grow something that takes a lot out of your soil, like say tomatoes, then peas would be a good choice afterwards to help them.
That is true. And I'm looking at their website here. Tons of good stuff about them. But did you know that a 100 calorie serving of peas contains as much vitamin C as two large apples and more protein than one egg or 1 teaspoon of peanut butter?
No, I did not, but it doesn't surprise me. And one thing I've started doing is I buy frozen peas and I keep them in my freezer. And then I take out a segment of them and I put them in a lot of my soups because they add a pop of green color
Right?
to the soup and they're delicious in the soups. And they also are extremely good for you.
They're extremely good for you. And do you buy the frozen peas at Costco? The organic frozen peas?
I don't go to Costco that much. I use Kroger a lot and I buy their organic frozen peas.
Yeah, they're good.
Costco, let me explain quickly. Costco is 30 minutes away from me or
Uh-huh.
35, and it's in the four corners of HE double toothpicks. And because the traffic is so bad there, I'm not saying I never go there, but it's also extremely perfumey and they also have food samples. So it's a little tough for me to go there. I have to go like right when they open. It's just complicated. So I don't go there as much as I would like to because I enjoy Costco.
Now I'm over here on the National Garden Bureau's website, and
Yep.
I did buy a package of pea seeds, a couple packages of pea seeds yesterday. I think I bought Sugar Snap, which is an all America selection.
Uh-huh.
But if you have just containers, or even if you wanted to put into your Vago beds, they
Uh-huh.
have something called Patio Pride Snap Pea, which looks pretty fun. Doesn't get as
Well,
big.
let's see where we can get it. Patio Pride
Yeah, you should be able
Snap.
to. They would have sources on the website for the All America selections.
Guess what? Eden Brothers has it and it's 10% off. So if people used our affiliate link, they could run over there and get some.
Right, right.
Johnny's has it too, but I think you should buy it from Eden Brothers. All right, keep going.
Now, you and I have both talked about how we don't like to grow sweet peas anywhere near our regular peas because sweet peas are poisonous. Although if you look at a sweet pea pod, I don't think anybody thinks it's appetizing. But if you want a pretty pea that's edible, little snow pea purple has the most beautiful purple
Beautiful,
flowers. And
beautiful
so
pea.
I think
Doesn't
I
it
kind of
also have
want that.
purple peas too until you cook them?
That's another one that does
Okay,
not
there's
come to mind.
several.
But
There's
yes, you can
several out
get
there. We
purple
found them.
potted peas. So
Yes, and snow peas. Snow peas, there's several purple ones. Yes, here's Patio Pride right here. I'll probably wow. For an ounce, it's $11.99.
now I did have a very big problem last year with powdery mildew.
Mildew.
And they have suggested practices. So avoid overcrowding. I don't think I overcrowded.
I don't think you did either.
Avoid overwatering. I don't think I overwatered.
I don't think so either.
Control pests such as aphids that are virus transmitters.
Wow.
Crop rotation. I thought I was rotating. Proper tillage of the soil. Weed control before or after. This implies that I was the problem, and I do not think that I was the problem.
It could have also been your weather, Carol. If you have
It was
really,
the weather.
really wet
Yes, it
spring
was.
weather, that can be a huge issue.
I did not have a great crop, but I will plant them on the way other end of the garden this spring. In fact, in just about 2 months, I'll be sowing those. One other thing I wanted to mention, because it annoys you when I do, you can grow pea shoots as microgreens.
No, it does not annoy me at all, actually.
I'm going to grow
I
some.
also want to mention that there's a couple of different varieties of peas out there that you can grow for the tendrils.
Oh, yeah.
Because people eat the tendrils, and also it makes them really good at clinging to your fence. They still make peas, they just make a lot of tendrils. So, something else to think about.
It is. And shooting off the cuff here. I think the one that is just full of tendrils and makes a really nice addition to a container. Is it called Masterpiece?
I'll look it up.
It's from Burpee. You look that up and tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. But that thing was really fun. I remember when you and I first saw it at the Garden
was
Comms
beautiful.
conference. We're like, oh my gosh, we have to grow this.
Yeah.
Because the tendrils are edible and then it's a snap pea, so the snap peas are edible.
Uh-huh.
I
I love
remember.
snap peas. I love snow peas. I love peas that are just peas. I'm looking
Yes.
it up. I haven't gotten there yet because, Burpee has to show you 32, pop-ups because that's how they do. They're not coming up too fast.
That's okay. We'll just
Burpee
put
makes
it,
a lot of, they have a lot of peas.
we'll put it in the show notes, whatever it is. And then, as you said in one of my edits you did to the show notes where I confessed a mistake, we said we never confess mistakes.
Yeah, I took it out. I was like, don't confess that. I mean, somebody will tell us anyway. So it's okay.
All right.
You know what? They don't show anything on here anymore. So that one may be history again because they do that sometimes. But I'll see if I can find a tenderly kind of one.
Okay.
I have some in my pea stash. But I am
Ooh.
going to buy those patio peas because I want to try them. I want to see if they have good yields.
Well, and that would be a nice one for Maddie to come along, and that's one that she could pick and eat.
She sure could. I've just got to figure out this year, since I don't have a dog, how to keep the deer out of there. Because last year we used all kinds of different ways, including alarms, and I don't want to do that this year. I might do some fencing. I'll talk to Luz.
Yeah, there you go. All right. I'm going to do a quote, and then we're going to go to the bookshelf.
Sounds good.
Just the knowledge that a good book is awaiting me at the end of a long day makes the day happier. Kathleen Norris. On the bookshelf.
And we love Kathleen Norris. She's written a lot of really good books and a lot of spiritual books. She's an interesting lady. So this is an interesting book, which has a spiritual bent. So it's good that we chose Kathleen Norris as our intro. This is called Joyful, Cook Effortlessly, Eat Fresh, Live Radiantly, a cookbook by Radhi Devlukia Shetty. And her blog is also called Joyful. So now we know she's an influencer, I think.
And that's joyful with two L's.
Two L's. And so she is Indian and she believes in the practice of, I want to make sure I pronounce it right, or at least try. It's Ayurveda, and that is a practice of a lifestyle, and yoga is part of that practice. It's a spiritual practice, but it encompasses your whole body. So not only do you do Ayurvedic yoga in order to strengthen your body, you also eat a certain way if you follow this practice. That's not to say that everyone who does yoga follows this. There's all different kinds of yoga now, but she does. And so part of that is they eat a plant-based diet. And nobody is better at plant-based diets than people of Indian descent because they have been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years.
That's
and
true.
So my sweet daughter, Megan, gave this to me for Christmas along with last week's La Vie Rustique. And it has some amazing recipes in it. Recipes like coconut green beans. And here you use vegan butter or coconut oil, curry leaves, mustard, urid noodle, lentils, sesame seeds if you want, turmeric, masala, cumin, coriander, asafoetida, which I think is, well, I don't know. And then green beans, and then you use coconut and cilantro leaves. So it's this super spicy, but not hot, warming spices.
Right.
There's a big belief in warming of the body and all of that. There are some beautiful, beautiful recipes in here that are not as complicated as that one. And there are some that are more complicated.
I was going to ask you, are most of the ingredients easy to find at the regular grocery store?
I would say they're easy to find online and occasionally at the grocery store.
Okay.
You might need to go to a specialty grocery store because if she uses fresh turmeric, for example, you want to buy it from a specialty grocery store that does that. And I think asafoetida is, I think it's the stuff. Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But here, for example, here she has bang bang tofu, which there's bang bang shrimp is really, really popular. And it's
Right.
kind of a breaded shrimp. But you do this one with tofu, and I would like to try it. And so I have everything in my cabinet except for maybe this asafoetida and maybe, well, I do have sambal olik, which is a pepper. I would have to try it when my mouth is in good shape. But she has all kinds of things. If you like Indian food and you like curries, she has a whole section on curries. She has a whole section. They use a lot of cauliflower, a lot of dals, which are made usually from lentils. There's just all kinds of things. There's a whole chapter on lentils, beans, proteins, and curries. So lots of good foods.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
So to turn this back to the garden, is there anything that you're going to add to your garden this year from reading that cookbook that says this is a green or this is a bean or something that I'm going to go ahead and grow because it will make it easier to do these recipes?
Okay, so truthfully, no. And here's why. I already grow I grow Asian greens, for example.
Uh-huh.
So I would use those. I tend to use what I have on hand and just adapt recipes to it. Usually you can do that. Greens swap out for each other really easily. As far as cauliflower, it's very hard to grow here unless you have a hoop house and grow it in
Yes.
the winter, early spring. A lot of the foods that she talks about, if I don't already grow them, I'll just get them from Kroger. I'll be honest, because for example, beans, growing beans is hard here. I'm not going to do that. I've done it and I think it's hard. And this is the year, I didn't tell you this, but this is the year of making Dee's life simpler.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that.
So I'm not going to make it harder. Now, I will say this. They use a lot of, okay, here's one thing I'll grow this year. They use a lot of sweet potatoes. And I'm going to start sweet potatoes and grow them at the right time because I've grown them before and they
Right.
are better when you grow them in your garden. So I'm just not that vegetable garden person who I grow what I want and that's it. Green
Okay.
beans I always grow. So I would have them anyway. But some stuff just does better if it's grown by somebody else. I already grow kale, and she uses a lot of kale.
So that is Joyful, Cooking Effortlessly, Eating Freely, Live Radiantly, a cookbook by Radhi Devalukia Shetty. We'll leave links to bookshop.org and Amazon.
And I think it's just I think it's a good cookbook and a good book to read if you're wanting to incorporate more vegetables in your life.
Very good. Quote time.
Let's raise children who can name plants, not become them, and animals, not celebrities and brands. This is Dr. Joel Gator, and that just struck me.
That is true. I've read that. I've seen that on Instagram and different places. So yes. And
So our dirt this week is about a prison garden that is in Oklahoma at the Mac Alford Correctional Center. And it actually came out at Thanksgiving because it was about giving thanks and about all the stuff they grew in their vegetable garden there. And they had started a vegetable garden, and it does lean heavily to Southern cooking. Let's put it that way. So there were collard greens, there were some beans in there, but pumpkins, squash, those kinds of foods.
okra.
And okra. It is the most inspirational, fun little video to watch. This man talking about the seeds coming up out of the soil and how it makes him feel. And you wrote, I'll let you say what you wrote.
Well, I said, when you watch that video, and by the way, they thought maybe they had broken the world's record for the tallest okra, just saying. You have to watch the video to see why they thought they had broken the record. But it goes to show anyone can benefit from spending time in a garden, even if they're someone who has been incarcerated for committing crimes. And as the inmate said at the very end, it definitely brings serenity. Praise God.
It was beautiful. It's worth watching. We'll link to it in our show notes, and also in our newsletter. The man, I don't know if he currently holds the record, but he's either almost won before he is in Oklahoma, and they've done some stories on him too. And the secret to it is a hot summer, plenty of water, and you strip the leaves as it goes up, and it just keeps getting more and more vertical. So his were really, really tall.
All right, I'll do a quote and we'll do rabbit holes. Home is the nicest word there is, and that is Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House on the Prairie.
She's absolutely right. So rabbit holes, I'll go first because I think yours is long. Mine is all about teas. In the evenings, I have really taken to drinking herbal teas, and I love good old fashioned sleepy time. And I love a lot of different teas. And if my stomach's upset, I love ginger tea, which you can just make from ginger, or you can use dried ginger that comes in leaves. But I found these teas on Amazon, and they're French. And the first one that I've tried, it's Palais de Thé, which is, Palace of Teas. And this one is called Paris for You by Day.
Cool.
And it's rose, raspberry, and don't you pronounce that lychee? I think it's a lychee fruit.
I think so. Lychee.
Yeah. And what's good about it is it's green tea. So I drink it during the day because green tea does have caffeine. I do want to sleep at night. And so they come in biodegradable cotton tea bags, and they're unbleached, which means that no bone char has been used anywhere near them.
That is wonderful.
I got it in 2 days ago, and I'm going to try it today. In fact, that's my plan. Right now, I'm drinking a lovely black tea from the company called Rishi. And, I don't drink a ton of tea like I did because it does have a lot of tannins in it.
Right.
And tannins are high histamine. So I'm always trying to reduce my histamines. Whereas teas that are brewed, and if you brew it quickly in a bag, then it's got fewer histamines because that's fewer tannins. So my rabbit hole was all about tea. What's yours?
So I got an email from a new reader who came across my blog and newsletter because someone had referred her to me for an article I'd written about forcing flowers of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, she clued
Probably
me in.
peonies.
She clued me in on another lost lady of garden writing. So I started writing her or researching her. And she has a book written in 1938. No chance ever, I think, to find the original 1938 copies, but somebody did a bunch of leather-bound repeats or reprints in 2018, I think. But anyway, you can read it online, her book. So
Uh-huh. Cool.
I've been researching her. And Dee, I'm just going to give you one clue.
Okay.
Grey Gardens.
Oh, Lord. Okay. How does she fit into Grey Gardens? You got to tell me.
I believe that she was the original owner who sold it to the
Edie and Big
Edie and
Edie and
what's
Little Edie.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, I also
No, they're
discovered
gross. I mean, can I just say that? I know, they're gross. They were gross. They were mentally ill. Not that
uh
all mentally ill people are gross. They were just very dirty. I've seen the movie, the
the
documentary.
documentary. Yes.
Yes, it was
Now,
awful.
now I'm going to give you a link for that documentary in case people are like, Grey Gardens, what are those two talking about? See
We've
how it
talked about
goes?
Grey Gardens before too. There's also been a movie about it, but the documentary is worth watching. And then wasn't it Bill Bailey and his wife who bought the property? And he was an editor at the Washington Post.
No, it was Ed Bradley.
Ed Bradley. Yeah, but wasn't he an editor? And it's Bradley
Yeah.
spelled Bradlee.
Yes, I
It's
think
an
so.
unusual spelling. Yeah.
See, we're down in this rabbit hole already. I've gotten us way off
Yuck.
track. So I also discovered, I think on Instagram, there's a little nursery that sells only basil seeds.
Cute.
It's called Basically About Basil, and they don't have a ton of seeds.
Yeah.
But if you like the African blue basil and that type that is from Africa,
Well, that
you
one
see,
doesn't produce seed, but
no,
so
it
they would have
doesn't.
to
But
use cuttings.
she lets these things kind of like cross and everything, and so she'll say, "Well, this is from this patch. You may not get exactly the same," and she sells those seeds. And but now I looked at one, and it said the germination rate was 20%.
Oh no.
But
No. I'm not even buying that.
she sent you like 100 seeds, so
Yeah, if
it's
she sends you a whole bunch of seeds, then you'd have 20 plants and that'd be fine. I do need, that reminds me though, I'm glad you brought that up because I've got to order my African blue basil. I did not take cuttings last year and I'm going to use it to border the kitchen border at the front because it's
it'll be
just such a great
nice.
plant,
That'll be
such a
nice.
great pollinator plant.
Well, go look at that website because you may find some great pollinator basils that you could grow from seed and get you a whole bunch.
Okay. We could give it a try.
All right, garden commissions.
All gone. Are you ready to wrap up?
I am.
Oh, we got a garden commission. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know why I
I
just
said
moved
garden
on in my head.
commissions and then you just
I
sat
know, but
there.
you know what my brain was? My brain was still in rabbit
Basil
holes.
land.
I'm coming out. I'm coming out. Okay, garden commissions. I am going to work on my shade border once the weather gets a little better because this is a good time to do it. There are fewer ticks. That doesn't mean there are no ticks. So I will still be wearing my tick clothing. And then I'll keep sowing seeds and working in the greenhouse. And I need to replace my lights this year on my seed starting station with LED lights. And I think now we've had this whole, I'm going to buy full spectrum is what I'm going to buy.
Right.
LED full spectrum lights. So I might do that next week. It depends on, I need to do an update on Bill real quick too. So Bill's in the rehab hospital after his surgery and they're going to keep him a little while and he's getting better each day, getting a little stronger each day. But, you know, it's a slow healing. And so I go over there every day and that takes a lot of my day.
Right.
Okay. Your turn.
And then the rest of the time you're getting yourselves in trouble because Bill's not there to rein you in.
Yeah, like Bill could ever rein me in. All right, go ahead.
So it's quite cold this week and it's going to get colder. So I need to finish reading. I'm going to show it this book called The Gardener's Plot.
Cute.
It's a mystery that came out in November of last year by a new author, Deborah J. Benoit. It's actually pretty good. And because I was reading that book about the siege of Leningrad last week, I didn't get started on this. I picked them up on the same day. They both came in at the same time. And
Yeah,
so I got the notice it's due on Tuesday. I'm like, I got to finish reading that. So I am going to finish reading this book because it is actually pretty good. A little
it's
cheesy in
cute.
places, but
That
it's master
cover is
gardeners,
adorable.
and a dead body in the community garden, and it kind
Sure.
of goes from there. So, and then I definitely need to sort out those seeds, place some seed orders. I'm going to go back to Menards to get more seeds. And my goal is to have all my winter sown containers out in the garden by the end of January. And that includes, I am going to take some poppy seeds though today and throw them out on the snow, which everybody says, throw your poppy seeds on the snow. So I'm going to try that. Water house plants. And I'm sure I'll get into some other trouble through the week. I got to write the Lost Lady of Garden article. That's about it. Oh, one other thing I was going to do.
Uh-huh. What's that?
So GardenCom has these winter webinars about writing, speaking, becoming
Yeah,
a
you
better.
were trying to get me to join up.
Well, the first one starts on Tuesday, and apparently the president of GardenCom, CL Fernari, has purchased the sponsorship in my name for my birthday. So
That was really nice.
It will be passed when this comes out, but even if you're just interested in writing and stuff, it's actually 10 webinars for $99. It's a pretty good deal. So
that is a good deal.
I'll include a link to that in case anybody's interested in that. And now I think we can wrap up.
And anybody can be a part of these webinars. You do not have to join GardenCom, right?
Right.
This is a way to reach out to the bigger community.
And the topics, well, they, talk about examples of garden writing or speaking or whatever. The things that people are teaching us are going to apply to anybody that writes or speaks or does anything. So they're general
Sounds
purpose.
Great. I should promote them online.
You should. And you should sign up, Dee.
All right, I will. Just give me the link.
Okay.
I've been a little busy, Carol.
I know. Every day you have to go see Bill. Hi, Bill.
It takes an hour and a half at least. So, because it's pretty far away.
Thank you for listening to The Garden Angelist. I hope you've hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. We publish every week on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. Eastern Time.
If you subscribe to our free Substack newsletter, you'll get a link to listen to the podcast a day early. And you'll get links to the products we discuss. Some of these are affiliate links that help us pay for podcast hosting.
And if you want to help support us, use our affiliate links. If you buy something that they're clicking through on them, we're in a small commission and it costs you nothing.
Or you are welcome to set up a monthly subscription through Buzzsprout. Quite a few of you have, or you can make a one-time donation through PayPal, and some have done that too.
And thank you to everyone who has done so. It helps us pay for podcast hosting.
It was lovely to chat with all of you over the Garden Gate. Bye until next week.
Bye, everybody.